Happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect One Word Conversations. One Word Conversations is a relationship building, self-discovery conversation with people all over the world. This is season 3. I cannot believe this is episode 270. Yeah. Currently, One Word Conversation is brought to you by IamWilliamBrown.com, a place to help you be yourself and live your life. The reason why I say that is because other sponsors are on their way. Yeah, I'm excited. So one way that I spotlight what's available at IamWilliamBrown.com is our U cards. And our U cards are a game, a journal, prompt, and just a lot of fun. And so what I use the cards for is to create an intention for the conversation. And so I have an I am card, a you are card, and a quote card. And so the I am card that I picked for today is I am complete, you are brave, and there is no one youer than you. So with that in mind, I am going to ask you to like, share, comment, ask questions, subscribe, do all those things that lets me know that you are finding value within these conversations. It is just fun. I'm just so excited to have my guest for today. We start a new season of words. And so the words that we have today is knowing. And so knowing is our word. Yeah, so with that in mind, I will invite my guest in and we will have a conversation. Good morning.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you, man.
Oh, great to see you. This is the moment where I invite my guests to introduce themselves however it feels comfortable to them.
Oh my gosh. Hello everybody. My name is wait, here it is, Jeff Day, and I have a lot of professionally. I have my own consultancy called North of 10 Advisors. I'm part of a holding group called TAC 22. We are a connected brand experience team. Seeking to create amazing connected experiences in the world. I'm working on a very specific initiative now called Idea Cloud, which is another story for another day. But my real passions lie in these kinds of conversations. I like to consider myself a student and a real advocate of learning and developing myself the best I can. And part of that has been, exploration in leadership, in, challenging myself and so on and so forth. But I just am thrilled to be here with you, William. It's like we've been working on a few things together now for the better part of a year plus. And
Right.
I've been watching this program, and you really astutely pointed out to me, season 3, hello, kickoff season, come on. That's
Right.
cool. That's cool. So thank you for having me on your program today. And thank you also for being my partner in the Mindful Minute, which you really planted that seed, if you recall, when you rewind back to Orlando. What was it, 2018?
Yeah, it's like when we were together, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right. So it's been quite the journey. But
Right. So, with that in mind, how does the word knowing show up for you?
well, when you presented this word to me initially, I thought a lot about what knowing means to me. And
Mm,
I have to come clean, just kind of like we were talking earlier. The term knowing has deeper spiritual meaning to me.
mm,
And it has something that I've really been thinking, about probably all my life. I would tell you that um, as I have, journeyed through my life and tried to experience a better understanding of what it is to come to know things,
Right.
I've realized that the more simplistic questions are sometimes the most profound,
Right.
and that knowing something is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
We talked about self-identity, for example. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's for me, I really had to embrace for myself that the self-discovery journey is a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
Is that connecting to a knowing or the divine, and um, really what I'm sitting with and how knowing is sitting with me is that a level of trusting my knowing. There are some things or some situations that it's like, I don't know why I know this. I don't know how I know this, but
Yeah.
I feel like I need to be doing this. And so I try to justify it, instead of just being in it. And it's
Yeah.
just really have you had those feelings where you just know, right?
Yeah.
You just know, and you do it or you don't do it.
Yeah. Oh, well, let me, so again, backgrounder here, right? So when I stumble into the question and I spend a little bit of time thinking about it, I did my cursory, okay, who said some great things about this, and there is a, Goethe, who is the, classic, philosopher,
Mhm.
and we know, his contributions to the world. He said, "Knowing's not enough. We must apply. Willing is not enough. We must do."
Mm,
So when I think about, being settled in a knowledge of something,
right.
um, there is no such thing to me as being settled in it. What I mean is there's peace in it, and don't get comfortable,
Mm,
because it has to be rich and alive and moving, and
mm,
constantly
good.
evolving.
Mm,
So I like to think of it as like vistas and plateaus. When I go for a hike or I go for a ride and I'm climbing a hill, I always think to myself, what's on the other side of the hill? And then I get there, there's another hill.
right.
Or better yet, sometimes I am rewarded with that moment, right, where you literally are on top of the world, and you kind of look
Mm,
out and you have this moment of wow, I've achieved
right.
a certain place, in terms of my pursuit.
Right. It's really sometimes I get caught into, the need to know.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have the joint experiences of being in the AV industry,
right,
and there has been many times where there's this you just need to know what's going on with this or what's going on with that, and there's just play this out, and
yeah,
sometimes it can just drive you like batty, right? And it's like, what, I don't need to know this. Let's just
yeah,
go with this, right? you
yeah,
know
yeah.
because sometimes the knowing gets in the way of the doing, as you were talking about.
You're bringing up a really good point. When is it too much, and when can you overwhelm yourself? And having to kind of know. Um, and have you ever heard the phrase before, William? You're a know-it-all.
Right. Oh yeah. I've been called that.
Right. So is that a negative or a positive to be a know-it-all?
It didn't feel positive at the
Didn't
time,
feel
right?
positive at the time, right? So but I think that I have tremendous respect for
Mm,
people who are pursuing truth,
mm,
and they want to come to know,
right.
for themselves, the things that are applicable to their lives. So I feel like there are questions, and you'll be the one to know, what those questions are that need to be answered for you.
Mhm,
But I would also say, let's go back to what you talked about earlier: a stillness and a patience in the
mm,
journey. And it's like you may not know it all at once, or it may not be logical to you.
Right.
what exactly it is that you're pursuing. So, on a spiritual plane, that may be, a self-identity question, right?
Right.
In a more academic environment, it may be mastery of a particular topic or subject, right?
Right. Mhm.
But I think it's being inquisitive, asking questions. We got to be wired genetically to want to know, right? And to,
Right.
to be able to explore that.
Right. It's something that I don't know if we're being conditioned not to ask questions, right?
Yeah.
Because it says that our brain is designed to keep us safe, right? So we
Yeah.
need to know if this is a threat or not, so we can make some choices and do different things.
Right.
But
Right.
it's sometimes it feels like there is this um I don't want to say assault because that just seems like girl, but it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you ask too much. It's like going back to the know-it-all thing.
Right.
It's like I was called as a kid, oh, you think you're a know-it-all,
Right.
but at the same time, when people wanted to know something, they would come to me, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like you want to reward the people that know things, that are on the journey and kind of are thoughtful about things, but at the same time, you um you ridicule them for for
Yeah.
being on that journey.
Yeah.
So it's that balance with and there is that that identity thing,
Yeah.
because there were some times where I felt like, you know what, I don't want to be the know-it-all. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody, even if I knew, I would say I don't know.
Were,
You
were,
know?
were you that kid at recess that oh, there's William,
Right.
he's the guy. Hey,
Right.
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So you chose, these are I am William words that you picked out of the hat. These
Right.
are the I am cards, right?
Right.
So tell me a little bit about how did knowing make it into the hat?
The knowing worked into the hat. Got into the hat by there were so how I pick all the words for the show is I just a word will come up and I'll just ask myself, what do I think of this? How is this showing up for me?
Right.
And it's like, I don't know. I don't know. What is there a story around this? So I'll just write it down.
Right. Right.
And so what I do is I just have these lists of words that I've written down in many places, sometimes on too many post-it notes. I try to put in a Trello or something that it can
Right.
come together. But it got there because there were a lot of things that were showing up in my life that I just knew.
Yeah.
But I just, as I said before, I wasn't trusting that knowing, because
Yeah.
I knew
Yeah.
it was there for me to use at this time,
Right. Right.
but I didn't feel confident enough to kind of like just go with it. And
Right.
so I like, I need to explore this knowing thing, this intimate relationship with the information
Yeah.
of myself, right?
Yeah.
Of the
Yeah.
situation that I just want to explore and kind of say, okay, let's have a conversation about it. Let's just
Yeah.
see what that means and how that's showing up. So that's how it made the list. How it
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
you was
Random.
random or intuition.
Yeah.
So and just kind of
Yeah.
go from there.
You know, so I cross over into my life pursuits and interests. I have recently been introduced to cycling,
Hmm.
and I have been a runner for a long time. When I say I'm a runner, I don't consider myself a runner, but I've been running for a long time.
Right.
And running from what? But it's like I go out and I exercise, and what started out as like sort of a stay healthy initiative became a go run a 10K, go run a half marathon, go run a marathon. Well, the
Right.
same is happening to me in cycling.
Hmm.
I just recently I got inspired by a very good friend of mine to get a bike this last year. The pandemic gave me an opportunity to get outside and ride. I
Right.
logged I logged 2,200 miles this year. That was
Wow.
like it seems like a big number. The reality is it's just a lot of rides stitched together over time. There
Right.
are a few long rides in there, but the reason why I'm sharing this is because I found that there is a motivation, there's a passion in my case to learn everything about this sport. and learn everything about what goes into it. So it's not just, how important the equipment is, but it's
Mm.
also important what your physiology is, what your genetics might look like, what your nutrition levels may be. And when you put all that together, there is a real satisfaction that comes from coming to know something,
Mm.
deeply like that. What I've
Right.
found along the way is the lessons that I've learned are bigger, than the interest in the pursuit. There's like, if I sort of boil it up to like, what are the 2 or 3 things that I really came to understand as a result of this sport? I would tell you, mental toughness or
Mm.
courage or inspiration.
Right.
Yeah. Have you ever had that experience? It's like where a pursuit in your life has effectively given you a foundation to really explore. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the first thing that came to mind was my pursuit as being an actor, being in the theater.
Nice. I didn't know you
And
did that.
yeah, it's like it seems like so long
It's like an
ago,
onion, like peeling back
right?
the layers of what
It's like I don't know what level that on or what layer that is, but it's
is that how
it's
you
there.
got into AV? Was
Uh,
through theater?
It is, yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I guess it is and it isn't. So,
Right.
so my journey into AV, so it was, so I was a theater major, and then I was a
Yeah.
communication major. Then I thought I
Right.
was going to go into broadcast news, and
Right.
then
Right.
I was at WQED in Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
right, working
Yeah.
with Mr. Rogers,
Right.
right.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I decided that I no longer
Whoa,
wanted to.
you worked with Mr. Rogers?
I did. So there's another
Wow.
layer, right, right. So, so
I
um,
definitely want to hear that story sometime.
So I decided that, after working with Mr. Rogers and a couple other shows for, for the summer for like 5 months or something like that
Yeah.
total, I decided, oh my God, I do not want to be in the broadcast news anymore. It's like, what am I going to do now? And the
Yeah.
camera guy said, I know a guy who has an AV company.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there is my AV career.
So,
After I graduated, I got into I called his guy,
yeah.
and I guess the rest is history, but are still starting.
Well,
So
hey,
go
I
ahead.
got it. So, in full disclosure to people who are watching, you and I came together through our AV connections. We
Right,
are wearing the token blue shirts,
right, right.
which,
Uniform, right,
yeah, exactly. Although your blue shirt works even better for camera, but
right.
I got pattern. I broke the rule. But the other thing I was going to say is I had a passion for theater as well. I had a passion for theater
Wow.
music. I wasn't a great singer, but I certainly loved the theater, and I loved everything about it. I did more performance in high school, and then I kind of let it go. I sang in choirs and I would do gag things here and there,
Right,
but it's always been a part of me. But what's interesting is in the audiovisual world, everybody seems to have a root somewhere in
right,
this, you
right.
know? So it's
Some
such a great commonality.
right, some performance or some type of
Just the thrill of how stories are told, the thrill
right,
of being in a venue where talents are expressed, and I think that that's something that I've enjoyed. It's our community, right?
right.
Isn't that an aspect of knowing too? Is like when you're amongst
your
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 community?
community that you
Yeah,
just know. You're just with people, and and I have really
yeah,
found that within the conversation of of this show is that a number of the people who have agreed to be on the show are part of my community.
yeah.
I didn't realize that one, my community was global, right? That there were
Right,
people
right.
all over the world
Yeah,
uh, that wanted to connect to me. And it's like the conversations that we're having, it's like, wow, it seems like I've known you for a long time. How
yeah,
is that the case? But
yeah, yeah.
there's that knowing within it, you know.
Right.
But getting back to the theater side of it and the lessons and how it kind of unpacked the conversations, of my life. And there's this knowing
Yeah,
is that I was in high school doing high school theater, and all the musicals and the plays, and so I started that in college.
Hmm.
And in college, I did method acting. So method acting is like, it's like hardcore. So, I mean, you have to go into like
I
your
think I saw
emotions.
an episode on The Office related to method acting with
Yeah.
Michael Scott.
And it's crazy, right? So, but because of my experience and my learning of acting and really embracing acting through method acting,
Yeah.
there was this question of who am I?
Mm,
Because I was getting so lost in the characters.
right.
I had one review. It's crazy. At the time, I loved it, and then there was a period where I hated it, and then I don't know where I am with it now. But this is what the review. It was William Brown is so convincing. I think he can play a 10-year-old white girl, and as I because I was like doing different things. I was, I played a girl
Yeah.
and that,
Yeah.
and it was like, and so people like, suspended reality and allowed themselves to believe that I was this girl and, and
Was
just kind
that the
of,
character you were playing?
yeah, there was
Yeah.
there was this moment I was doing a number of different short stories, and one of
Yeah.
the characters was this girl. Look, I could have been a black girl, but the reviewer said that. So, but and so
You
for
were
me,
convincing. You were
I was
totally convincing.
I
Yeah.
was like, yes. And then I was like, wait a minute. Right. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it really caused me
Yeah.
to find myself, or to
Mm,
have that question, who am I? Who am I outside of these roles? Who am I outside
mm,
of this? And then there was a knowing that, I went from, I didn't
yeah.
know who I was, right?
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know who I was. I was doing all this other kind of things
Right.
to kind of find myself. And then I got to a place
Yeah.
that I knew that there was a difference. There
Yeah.
was a difference between the two. And so it took a number of years, it took a number of shows, it took,
Yeah.
relationships to really, you know, learn that lesson and kind of be open to that. And I think there's a number of different
Right.
endeavors
Yeah.
uh, to kind of get that knowing for yourself. And I think
Yeah.
that's what life is all about, really. What are you going to be doing to know who you are?
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Hmm.
So we are in historic times, and
Hmm.
we literally, have lived in a historic 24 hours, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And we have days ahead. Not to discount the historic year. Goodness, what's not
Right.
historic here, right? So my
Hmm.
question to you is, what are you feeling right now? What I know we're talking about the word knowing today,
Right. Right.
but what's on your mind like now?
Hmm. That's an interesting question. So here's the thing. So I'll say this first, and then I'll answer the question, because
Mhm.
within the cards that I picked, it's you are brave. So I am going to be brave in the moment and
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
answer it. That I tell my guests that I am not going to pull you into any conversation. I am just going to allow the conversation just to go where it goes, and I will
Right.
be in with you.
Yeah.
So I forgot to say that to you on the first day in the third season. I forgot to do all the other things that
Okay, there was a lot of fanfare.
right. So, so this is what I'm feeling, and this is what I know. There is a knowing that um, what we're seeing is not the thing. There is a lot beyond um, the the discomfort, the confusion, the anger, the disappointment, um, and I feel that there is a larger question that we're being asked, that I don't think as a country we're really ready to deal with.
Mm,
There is, I look at 2020 as a spotlight versus a reset.
mm,
And I think we are still in the spotlight.
mm,
And
mhm,
so we're still
mhm.
seeing who we are as a nation, who we are as individuals, and how we're showing up for each other and not showing up for each other. And the more that we are willing to not just dismiss what we don't like about what we see, but say to ourselves that, yes, this is a part of who we are.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe that I feel that we're losing something or something. I am being diminished in a way, or I'm not, or I don't feel that my life matters, in a way because of how things are showing up. Until we are really willing to have that conversation and know that we are beyond this,
Mhm.
beyond our history, beyond our present moment, we can really push the reset button
Yeah. Yeah.
and really be there for each other the way we know that we can, care for each other like we know that we can, and create a society that we know that it's really was meant to be.
Yeah. Boy, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And that was so well said. I'm going to zero in on the spotlight term for a moment. I've heard a lot of people say 2020 was a reset year,
Mm.
but I think spotlight is a great word to describe it because the reset doesn't happen if you don't observe the thing that needs to be reset.
Right. Hmm.
and and to your point, I agree with your assessment that it's bigger. It's like what we're seeing is not really the thing.
Mm.
It's really easy, and I would definitely put myself in the category of, fault included here, of you can draw some conclusions and have some opinions about
Hmm.
things,
Right.
but you really got to step back and you got to evaluate things like, I mean, being very direct for a moment, we love peace,
Right.
we love freedom,
Mhm.
and we love, or at least I love, community.
Right.
So it's like, how do we engender and build those things, and really eliminate things like hatred and discord, and the kinds of things that are sort of the opposite of everything we're describing.
Right.
So I appreciate your vulnerable moment there, my friend. It was just super well said, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I always
Oh,
love what you say.
no,
So,
it's look, this is
mhm,
where this is a self-discovery relationship building. And the only way that I can
yeah,
be willing to learn more about myself is to share myself, right?
yeah, yeah,
And not just what, I think I should say or if you think you want to hear.
yeah.
I love how you said, we love peace. And when my first connection to peace was when I was growing up, and my mom would come in and say, "I want peace and quiet." You know,
And quiet. Yeah.
right? So it was never just peace; it was peace and quiet. And
Mhm.
and my biggest breakdown in my life was because I confused quiet for peace.
Yeah.
I thought because I didn't hear anything that it was peaceful,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that wasn't the case.
Right.
And I think that my love of peace, my desire to have peace, cannot
Right.
be overwritten by what people are saying or not saying.
Right. Right.
And so the more that I really hold peace dear, right?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
nobody wants to see crazy on TV, right? Right? Nobody
Yeah.
wants to
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
crazy in the streets. Um, but at the end of the day, when I lay my head down, do I have peace?
Mhm. Mhm.
And the only way, and it's not just ignoring, what I see, but am I going to have the peace that I will know not just what to do, but to what to be a part of, what to stand up for, what to say and not to say, all of those things. There's a peace in knowing,
Mhm. Mhm.
and there's also a responsibility in knowing,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, and it's like, um, And I think that's why I want to trust my knowing more,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because there is a knowing, right? I know, I was going to say this definitively. I know
Mm-hmm.
that when I really believe that,
Yeah.
it's going to produce some actions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And I want to go back to something we talked about earlier before our broadcast today is, for me, the pursuit of knowing has really come down to an awareness of who I am, you know.
mm,
And
absolutely.
again, in full disclosure, that's a spiritual question,
Right.
and coming to know that I am the offspring of a divine creator,
Right.
has given me a grounding for a lot of things in my life. It's also given me enough to be able to say, goodness, I don't I don't have all the answers to
Right.
everything, but I can be peaceful in the knowledge, in that knowledge,
Hmm.
and of who I am, and effectively where I came from, and ultimately where I'm going. So those are things that I continue to work on every day, and I think that as I progress down that path, I'm trying to be better and better. Now, I just had a birthday, and
Oh, happy
it,
birthday.
and I crossed the half century mark more than once. So I'm not going to give you my exact age, but just to say, it's like the question has changed in time. And the other thing I'll tell you is learned that my daughter and son-in-law are going to have a baby in
Oh,
July.
wow. Wow.
So William, I'm about to be a grandfather.
Oh, wow.
Can you believe
And,
that?
right. And I can't. And what do you know about that, right? What is in your knowing
Nothing.
about
I know that I have great parents and great
Right.
in-laws, and they've been great parents, and I've got great aunts and uncles and grandparents, and there have been a lot of great examples given to me. But it's just like the day that I became a parent, became a
Right.
husband, became
Right.
a student. It's like there is no manual per se for what you're doing.
Right.
It's like you have to come to learn and know, and you rely on guidance and inspiration from a variety of places. And
Right.
and if I was to maybe hit one point here, our friendships are so critical in this. And
Mm,
I think as we go back to the question of what are you thinking right now, what I'm thinking right now is how important it is for all of us to be there for each other.
right.
And yesterday in a work environment on our Slack channel, we there was a general conversation that started around this,
Right.
and somebody made the comment, it's like, if anybody wants to talk, I'm here. Somebody made that comment, and I was like, that's it right there.
Right.
It's not, I'm going to indict you for what you believe,
Right.
or I'm going to, really take a firm position on this particular thing. And I'm not saying to not be passionate, because
Right.
passion is important,
Right.
and your beliefs are important. But being there and listening and understanding is such a great quality, and it's
Right.
it's really truly a way that we can support each other.
Right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think the one thing within my journey of self-discovery, I have learned that I I am asked to know more about myself so I can be available to others.
Yeah.
It's not just for myself. And I think many times we don't show up for each other because we don't know who the hell we are, right? We don't know how we can be there for each other,
So
right?
what's the lesson there? Get grounded.
To get
Yeah.
grounded,
Yeah.
and just rest in the fact there is, I have, a Christian label, and a part of my quote cards, is the Jeremiah 1:5 is I knew you before the foundations of the world, before you were in your mother's womb, right?
Yeah.
And
Love
so
that.
really embracing that
Hmm.
I was known before all of this,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like
You're n-
it blows my mind, but it grounds me
yeah.
that
Yeah.
I can either get caught up in this, right?
Right.
This
Right.
temporary thing, or really recognize that not just that I was here, but I was known, um, before all of this. And there is a purpose for me being here at this time.
Yeah.
And so it's not just to be wandering around, what the hell, right? It is,
Yeah. Yeah.
there is, once I connect to that self, that,
Right. Right.
then I can be present in this moment, in
Right.
this time, that we have for the people that I am honored to be connected to,
Yeah.
and have influence of and so for my kids, or
Right.
and all that, all the other things, and so it's just it's a fascinating thing to, like I said, to sit in a place of knowing and not knowing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and being okay,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
being fine.
Mm-hmm.
I say that we are
Work.
complete, we are
Mm-hmm.
complete, and at the same time, um, we are not totally aware of our completeness,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, but we're not missing anything. We're just not aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So what I've taken out of everything you just said is take time, reflect, be still and patient, hear, and whether or not you have a Christian foundation is, that can be a part of it, but it doesn't have to be
Right.
the center of it per se.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is pursue a course of really learning who you are.
Right.
And I would tell you that leaning again to what I believe is that everybody inherently is a good person.
Mhm.
Everybody has the seeds of goodness. There,
Right.
maybe there's a few cases where some people like are just really bad people. But even
They
then,
lost their seeds of goodness, right?
there's a seed. So there's a great professor at University of Michigan here in town. His name's Kim Cameron, and he has written several books about positivity and the pursuit of it, in your life. And he talks about happiness and goodness being a heliotropic condition.
Mm.
And what he means by that is when a plant grows from the ground, it only knows one thing: lean to the light, lean to light. you know
Mm.
and the reason being is it reaches to light because it needs light to grow, for one, and
Mm.
it will follow the sun.
Mm.
So so kindness is not developed by just looking this way. Kindness
Right.
is developed as the sun moves in the sky. If
Right.
you if
Wow.
you if you look at trees and you look at plants and you get outdoors, take a look at what direction those trees are pointing. You know,
Mm.
the trees are trying to hold on to light. And
Wow.
and what's great is plants do the same. So I'm getting into my love of the outdoors here now, but I will tell you, kindness is that.
Mm.
Kindness is a heliotropic condition. We're born with it. Goodness is another one of those conditions, and I believe we're born with it. So where we get energy, where energy go. What do they say? Where energy goes, the rest flows.
Yeah. Something flows,
So
right? Yeah. I
yeah,
was trying to. What is the words, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard that quote several times. But listen, we could probably talk about this all day, couldn't we?
Yes, we could. Yeah, this is great. But
Yeah,
I think that was a good last thought. But is there anything
yeah,
within this conversation that you want to just leave everybody with, or just kind of that
yeah,
that this is something that's important to
yeah.
kind of discover?
So I'm gonna give you something you're not expecting, and I'm
Okay.
gonna say thank you, William Brown,
Mm.
for Disconnect to Connect,
Hmm.
and thank you for embarking on a season 3, 271st
Right.
episode,
Right.
and thank you for having the courage to continue what I think is really important work,
Mm.
which is these one word conversations. You're totally inspired, my friend, and I love it. It's a great service you do. Now, people on Facebook may just be scrolling away,
Right.
and but I know that you've hit more than one person. You've hit many people
Mm.
in this great work that you do. So I would say the one thing that I've got to say is keep going.
Mm.
and,
Wow.
and I love it. And I really have a love and appreciation for you, my friend. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you very much. You can connect with Jeff on his LinkedIn. I put in our comments there, and see all the amazing things. If you're able to sit around in the green room for a moment while I close the show, that would be great.
Absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks, sir.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, wow. Knowing. Huh. I yeah, I'm still sitting with, am I going to trust what I know, what I feel deep within me? Am I going to trust that and then move within it? Um, I think the one thing that I'm taking away from this conversation is that we need each other. And Jeff said so beautifully that just I'm going to create a space to have conversations, to be there for each other, to be there for someone. That's what I know. Um, More than just a slogan that we're stronger together. But the more that we believe and that we know that we're stronger together, we'll see the change that we want to see. I hope this conversation has brought value to not just your day, but to your life. I invite you to text me so we can have a chat at 864-381-8139 so we can have a conversation and see if I can help you be yourself and live your life. Because the world wants you, the world needs you, but the world isn't waiting for you. So go be you. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you tomorrow on One Word Conversations.